sessions. Conducting effective check-in meetings is an efficient way to build skills. It's a beneficial skill to master, to be able to check in with your team members, check in with your, sometimes you need to check in with your family members, right? Sometimes you need to check in with the people that you're on a project with. You need to check in, and sometimes we don't know how to do that. So that's what we're talking about today is conducting effective check-in meetings. It's a beneficial skill, right? So you want to learn how to run effective check-in meetings with your team, with your employees, with your peers. It's a way so you can, you touch bases, and then you can offer to help or support them, or you gain insights on, what are you doing, what's the next step, as opposed to waiting and someone saying, oh, by the way, I could not deliver because A, B, and C. You're like, oh, you put your surprise face on, right? You put your surprise face on. You're like, it's not done because you waited a month, 2 months, a week, and things have gotten off, course. So you want to know how to check in and then when, and then like what's good, a good way to do it, right? Because you don't want to, like I know I don't. I don't want to be the person that's thought of as a micromanager or someone that's breathing down somebody's neck or standing over their shoulder. I want it to be a really a good positive relationship where I want you to succeed. I want you to win. I'm delegating. I'm trusting you. So okay, what are we doing right now? Oh, by the way, I don't want to sit in long meetings every day. Who wants to do that? So a check-in session is a good tool, a good skill to learn. So this is the Better You Leadership Podcast. It's an ongoing journey to become better leaders. And so ultimately, women who will put some of these tips, techniques, these tactics into place, you're going to build your skills and your leadership capacity. And that's a good thing. My name is Angela Odom, and here I am every week sharing insights that's going to help you along your journey. So I'm rooting for you, and I want you to be a trusted leader. And that's where we're going. This episode of the Better You Leadership Podcast is sponsored by Odom General Store, where you'll find merch for leaders and items that inspire. Just go to www.odom, and that's ODOM, odomgeneralstore.com. So have you ever been referred to as a micromanager? It probably hurt your feelings, right? It probably hurt your feelings. You're like, whoa, I'm not a micromanager. Have you been referred to as someone who is overbearing or like maybe even a control freak? You're like, I'm no control freak. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So get your communication skills together, or get your tools together so that you can gain the information from people that's going to help you and the organization actually succeed, right? And so sometimes you're like, I need you to do A, B, and C. And the person is saying, well, I don't have the skills for that. I don't have the tools for that. I don't have the time for that. Oh, by the way, who are you talking to like that? All those things are getting in the way of production, of being effective, of getting the mission done. So I served 27 years in the Army. I've been called all manner of things, right? I've been referred to as all manner of things. Sometimes I care, and sometimes like, shut your big old mouth and get to work. So I want you to know that sometimes when people are saying that you are a micromanager or overbearing or control freak, it is a distraction. It is sometimes it's just like, I don't want to do the work, and this is just a way to, do that. So don't um, don't consider this as a one size fit all. Make sure what I'm saying to you, you tailor it to your current situation, or right, you look into the future and say, this is how I want to conduct myself so that, right, so that I receive this information and I'm able to be successful. And more importantly, right, more importantly, your team is efficient, effective, and healthy, right? And safe, all those things. So consider that. Sometimes people are giving advice, they're giving their opinions, and the situation, right? The situation or environment is different from yours. So make sure you tailor this to your needs, is what I'm saying, right? Because Angie Odom has a different set of circumstances than you do. So I want you to succeed. I want you to get this down. So, being referred to as a micromanager, overbearing, control freak. If you have, then assess the situation and see how you want to run with that, right? If it's working for you, then whoa, okay, got it. It's not necessarily, I don't believe it's necessarily bad, 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 like all the time. Depends on the context. So let's be clear there. And so it's like, well, what is a check in meeting? What are we checking? What are we doing? Some managers hold weekly, one-on-one meetings. You might have a small team, right? So the whole point would be to review the employees' engagement or performance. Just check it in and see how you're doing. If you need anything, sometimes these meetings because you just want to keep everybody on track. You might be moving towards your annual or your quarterly or even your monthly goals, right? So there's no surprises and you might want to just do that. But what about your daily progress? What about okay, you have some big contract and you want to make sure that okay, everything is progressing well. So you can implement something quick, 10 to 15 minutes, some kind of check-in meeting at the beginning of the day, end of the day, midday. Don't mess up anybody's lunch. And oh, by the way, Friday, late afternoon, Friday meetings or meetings uh, right before the holidays, some long drawn out meeting. Nobody's listening to you. So make sure you time them appropriately, right? So you can have like a quick 10 to 15 minute check-in meeting, and you want to make sure you're staying up to date and providing feedback and guidance. And you actually listen. Shut your big old mouth sometimes and listen more than you talk, and you're going to learn, right? So we're talking about the daily meeting, the day-to-day work. And so when you do this correctly, the check-in sessions, when you're doing it correctly, that's going to foster collaboration and teamwork. And that's what we want. We want that. We want collaboration. We don't want this, going into work or whether you're in a virtual environment, do not want it to be a stressful situation, something where people are resentful or scared about being in a workspace with you, right? What in the world? You don't want that. So check-in sessions, the meetings are beneficial. Why is that? Why would that be something that would be beneficial? Something 10 to 15 minutes. Like I have a teenager, I check in with him. So not just in the workspace, but in your home, you're checking in and say, hey, so you're good? You have, the ACT is coming up. You good with that? You need anything from me? Have you printed out such and such? Asking some questions, and then for me, just as I am learning to shut my big old mouth, right, and I'm learning to listen more than I speak. In the workspace, you want to do the same things. So you're having regular check-in sessions with your team. This is important because you're creating relationships, right? You're releasing tension and you're teaching communication styles. And oh, by the way, this is going to save time when you do sit down or you're at your virtual sessions, however you conduct them. When you do those one-on-one meetings, they're not going to be as long because you've already been checking in along the way, right? So that's very helpful. And oh, by the way, if the only time your teammates or your employees or your bosses, the only time you're talking is during the formal sessions, talking about performance or talking about pay, talking about benefits, that's going to be stressful. I'm going to tell you like that, right? It's going to be stressful because it's like, uh-oh, did I do this right? Did I perform in the manner in which my boss is happy about? I don't know. I hadn't talked to him in a year. I hadn't talked to her in a year. I hadn't talked to her in six months. I don't know. She says everything was fine. So you want to make sure that you continue with the regular check-in sessions. I tell you, that's pretty good. I always love to do that. to check in with people, right? So one of the things I mentioned, like you're creating relationships, and relationships, the relationship building is the number one skill I really want you to master relationships, right? So bonding with your team members or your employees, it's so important. It's a very important part of good managers, because that way you can gauge ahead of time before something breaks down, right? You will know your individuals, your teammates personalities, and what actually inspires them to perform at a higher level, right? So you asking simple questions like, hey, what did you do on the weekend? Or you share, especially like this past weekend was the Super Bowl. Hey, did your team win? Whoa, did you see that last 5 minutes, that last 2 minutes? That was amazing, right? You want to share some things that you have done like outside of work this past weekend. And let's just be clear about boundaries and relationships and things that you would and would not talk about, in mixed company or whatever. So you're not friends, right? You're not friends. You're not friends unless you develop a friendship. But during this work relationship, just make sure you are, what does that say? You're not telling people about your religious beliefs, and you're talking about your political beliefs. You're not talking about your sexual conquest. You're not sharing information about your personal kids. Your kids are cute and wonderful and awesome and amazing, but nobody wants to hear about them every single day. All right, I probably just helped somebody right there, right? I just helped somebody with that right that minute. So you just take that in. That's a gift. That's a gift. So you're creating relationships. You're creating relationships, right? And so you're also releasing tension. You're relieving or releasing tension. So your team members, they could, like I said earlier, they could feel stressed going into one of those one-on-one sessions with you. If it's you talking about, performance or pay or benefits or things that they did right, wrong, or indifferent, you want to make sure that you relieve that by having those check-in sessions. So that's a very help. So it's important to remind your team members this is for you. It's an opportunity for you to share if you need more supplies or support, or if something in the environment is preventing them from performing, or it's something in the environment they really love. You want to work through all those things that are practical and make sense, but it's a chance to be heard by them, so you can tell them that and make sure you're not making a bunch of promises that you're not keeping. You want to be consistent, all those things, be professional. But this would relieve tension because now we're not waiting until performance time to bring up, issues that are festering, right? So you get some of those things out of the way. And you do not want people stressed as they are working. So let's be clear. No one should be afraid of you, like as a person. Sometimes when I get people who have, presence, they might be big, like fit in physical stature, and they might not understand that shorter people, smaller people, whatever it is, might just be intimidated by their size. And they're like, well, everybody likes me. No, they don't. Okay, so just make sure that you are, you're being professional. And people are, the other thing is people are learning communication styles. So you're going to talk and relate to people differently if you're out with them and you all are enjoying your favorite beverage together, like at a bar, at a social event, whatever it is, might be a little more relaxed, as opposed to being in front of, if my boss and my boss and my boss's boss are there, and we're all in one big old group meeting, we're going to communicate differently, right? You might want to make sure um, that you are aware of your surroundings, be able to read the room. So a personal check-in session, it just provides a different experience, right? You won't be able to say everything you want to say in a big old session in front of everybody, right? But in a smaller, more intimate session, you might be able to be heard. So you're learning the communication styles of your um, employees, your peers, your bosses, as you are checking in, right? As you are checking in. Sometimes your check-in session might be one-on-one. It could be with a smaller group. So just learn the different communication style. Actually, just read the room, right? Read the room. Learn nonverbal cues that are very helpful for everyone, right? And so you want to know when to check in and out. Another thing you're looking at is how can I save time? Save time. So when you do those check-in meetings, um, like the formal official, because we're having our performance session, and that's we got it on the calendar. We're doing all these things. We noted it. We know exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about pay, benefits, and performance. And so when we do check-ins along the way, those meetings are short, much shorter than they would have been, right? This is because you and your superior, your bosses, whatever it might be, whatever term you use, you've already had the opportunity to talk about these things. You've been catching up and touching base along the way on those important um, topics. So this, you can skip some of those things and have a more condensed meeting. And that's what we want. We want condensed meetings. We don't want to sit around in meetings all day, whether we're on Zoom or in person. So the next question would be like, oh, how often should you conduct the check-in meetings? Like, is this like every hour, in the morning, in the evening, whatever it was? I remember being deployed. I may have been like in Egypt. I think I may have been in Egypt, and so we had the meetings at the shift change meetings, right? And so before you would leave, you show up at a certain time and make sure that the person that you are going to take over their position, their role for the next 12 hours. Then you would have a check-in session with that person. Say, hey, what just happened? What should I expect? What are there any documents I need to complete prior to? All this type of thing. You want to make sure that you are clear on those things. So how often really is about the mission itself and what is expected. So there's no one size fit all for that. You would determine how often you would check in with your team or your employee. So, right? So you determine that. And nobody wants to meet with you all the time. Let's just be very clear about that. I'm going to tell you if they won't tell you, right? So the benefits of it, like a daily check-in, though, like you're going to update the managers on what the employees are doing. And this is not in a let me tell you kind of tone. This is to make sure that we are aware of staffing issues, how we are performing towards the mission or the task, right? Just updates on that type of update with the tone and intent of being helpful in attaining the mission, more so than being a tattler. So this ensures team members are always staying busy, right? You get be productive, coming to work and just sitting around. I'm not saying that every minute of the day we should be doing something, because guess what? I might need to just sit down and breathe for a second, think through this thing. Oh, by the way, I might need a comfort break, right? And that's okay. Or it might be time for me to eat a muffin, whatever. Not every single minute of the day am I busy, is my point. So this also allows managers to help employees. You might have questions on their tasks for the day, or how does what I'm doing fit into the overall scheme of things, whatever the question might be. But those are some of the benefits of a daily check-in, especially if you have a short-term project that you have to complete. And then the benefits of a weekly check-in they're similar, right? This again updates the managers on what you have been doing over the past week. And so not only is it updating the manager, it's not like from the bottom to the top, that kind of thing, but the manager should be saying, oh, by the way, I've worked on A, B, and C also, and this is to help with the overall organization. And last week or yesterday, you told me you needed A, B, and C. I've ordered it. I've talked to such and such. Or it could be, last week or yesterday, you told me that Johnny Jones over there was not helpful, or was helpful, or was mean, or was nice, whatever it is, and you're able to I address that, right? so you can come full circle. This is a two-way communication, right? So it updates the manager on what employees are planning on working on in the upcoming week, and where the priorities are. So those are the types of things you want to know. And really, if I'm the person that's performing a task, I don't want at the end of the week you're like, oh yeah, that's not even important anymore. We're not even working on that anymore. I want to know, okay, is what I'm doing actually important? By the way, so this gives employees space to come to the managers um, with help or with questions, if needed or as needed. It's the same thing for the manager to be able to come to the employee, the team lead, the project lead, whomever it is, say, hey, um, uh, tell me about staffing over the next week because we really need A, B, and C. So it's a good way, communication is what this is all about. Communication and relationships. We want to make sure we are top notch in those areas. So whether you decide that your team would benefit from daily or weekly check-ins, really it's important that you would follow a meeting agenda. You, my God, you've been talking to people and you're like, what are we doing? We're talking for 15 minutes and I don't know what to expect. So ahead of time, it would be good if the person actually knows, hey, this is a template. This is all we're going to talk about. Is so they don't know, they know whether they need to prepare or not, right? If it's formal or not, if somebody else is going to be there or not, if it's going to take place at their workstation in their environment, or it's going to take place in yours. It's important to know that so they can prepare themselves properly, right? Don't have me showing up for a meeting. We got 15 people in there. I didn't even know that. That's crazy. Right. So make sure you're communicating that way. Be respectful of people in that manner. Set them up for success. Set them up for the win. So the thing I would suggest is to follow a daily meeting agenda. This ensures like your check-in meetings, and this for you, for the manager, for the leader, so you're prepared, so you're not going on and on and on about nothing. So have a template, have some sort of agenda, and it's okay to share with the people, hey, this is what I want to talk to you about, right? Especially if you have an admin or someone setting these things up for you, so they know what questions to answer when people say, what she wants to talk to me about, what? Especially if it's a new hire, right? So some of the things you want to put on there is like, what did I or the team accomplish yesterday or last week? And then what are the top priorities for the day? And what might be any obstacles or challenges that I'm going through right now? Because that's what the boss is supposed to do, right? Is to make sure that whatever challenges you're having or obstacles or support that you need, that is provided. And sometimes, you want to let people work through things at their own level, right? Otherwise, you're really not delegating, you're doing a lot. So just consider all those things. These are some examples of what you might use as your meeting agenda. And so you create multiple meeting check-in agendas, like templates based on a person or people you're talking to. You want to make it relevant and personal to that particular individual or team or group, right? And so some tips that I'll share with you are, stick to the meeting agenda, right? And for the most part, and then you want to you want to close out with clear takeaways. Okay, so during this session, it sounds like you were able to accomplish A, B, and C over the last week or yesterday. So that's good. We're moving in the right direction. Or you had some obstacles or challenges in A, B, and C. Let me see what I can do. Oh, by the way, you can work through that yourself, right? You got that. And you don't need my help on that, but you do need my help. You want me to go talk to such and such, so just clear takeaways, right? But don't have your employees giving you marching orders at the end, basically giving you all their work to do. Make sure you're clear on that also. Make sure that makes sense to both of you all. So check-ins create personal connections. And I want to make sure we're all clear that um, one of the things that we need to master is relationships, collaboration, working with people, communicating with people, effectively. So what you're doing is you're actually fostering employee engagement. And what does that lead to? More productivity. That's what it leads to. It leads to individuals remaining in this company longer because they feel heard, right? Now, so if so, the things that you're getting out of this, I pray that they include accomplishing the mission, being respectful to individuals, communicating effectively the needs and what you need as an employee, employer. What do you need, and then what is it your employee, your team member, your program lead, what does they need to accomplish the mission, right? So you can move away from this is in my head, and you should understand what I mean. You should know what I mean by this. We want to eliminate all of this, and we want to be very clear. That's what the check-in sessions will allow you to do, to gain clarity in how you're moving forward, right? Gain clarity. Nobody wants to sit in your meeting all day long. I want to make that clear, right? So this check-in session does not replace, a more formal meeting, right? But what it does allow you to do is to address things in a more in a quick manner, and probably um, more important that you're building relationships, right? You're creating employee engagement, which I think is incredibly important. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about on the Better You Leadership podcast today is the check-in meetings and the benefits of doing those. This is a part of leading yourself, right? So on the Better You Leadership podcast, that's what we're talking about. Leading yourself, leading others, and of course, um, leading your organizations. This is a part of leading yourself. So go ahead and ramp up this skill, right? Ramp it up, ramp it all the way up, ramp it all the way up. So this, I want you to be clear on. I want you to guard your habits, your routines, your mindset, and your time. Guard your time. And this is what this is going to help you do. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And that's by Aristotle. Love that. I love it. So high five, boom. High five to you. High five to you. High five. This is what I'm doing it right now. Boom. There you go. I'm looking for your hand to come back across that screen to me, though. Right? You've been a little slow with that. So if you're ready to become a more trusted and effective leader, go ahead and schedule a virtual fit session with me. My name is Angela M. Odom. You just go to Angela Odom, and that's ODOM, AngelaOdom.com/leadership capacity. And you will schedule a time for us to meet. We'll meet over Zoom. We'll talk about your goals, your intentions, what it is you want to see manifested in your life. And we'll work through a plan for that. Oh, okay, Nikki, I see you. Mo said, ooh, I high five back at you. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So the Better You Leadership Podcast hosted by me. I'm a proven leader. I'm teaching women the nuances of personal development so that they earn more revenue, they earn more respect, right? So with that said, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. You can go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon Music, and make sure you give me a rating of 5, right? A rating of 5. Don't do that whole foolishness 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5. And then make sure you actually list out right there on the comments. You're like, okay, wow, I was able to learn, grow, assess, consider these things, and be very detailed about what you got from the podcast once you put your comments in there. So with that said, make it a great day. If you can't make it great, make it wonderful. You all have a great day. And I'm definitely rooting for you. Talk to you soon.